Guys, welcome back to Silent Podcast where we're anything but silent. We are here for TJ Hates Quitters. I'm so excited, y'all. I'm your host, Josiane. Today I'm with a special guest. I feel like the pioneer of TJ Hates Quitters, but also another pioneer who is also my co-host. So I have Katie here. Katie, how are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm really excited to talk about these last two episodes of the challenge. Some of the best challenge we've gotten in a really long time. So I'm here. I'm ready. I'm seated.
And we have again one of the pioneers of TJ Hates Quitters, Kari. How are you?
I am surviving over here. That's the name of today. We're just making it. I'm on as many meds as Tori is on a season of the challenge today to be here for this. And Anissa better show up for me and defend me in the
Like her
Instagram and
bestie.
YouTube comments. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need to be her best friend though. I don't need to be his best friend.
I'm so happy about this reunion, by the way. The OG challenge hates TJ hates quitters.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, very that. I'm so excited to be here. We have some ground to cover. I feel like these last two episodes have finally been filling the void of like being less boring and giving us more drama and like strategy. I feel like the first two episodes were a little boring, but I see why they brought some of the NTV vets back to give us these dynamics and give us this entertainment. So I'm so excited to cover it. How have you been feeling so far about the season, Carrie?
I am really enjoying it. I like that we have a mix of personalities and like just layers of people.
Uh-oh,
Probably as
oh,
many see. Oh, am I frozen?
you're back.
No, you're back. You're back.
Oh,
Everybody's Wi-Fi is wreaking havoc tonight.
yeah. Just need to I that we have like layers like Josh Martinez and Fessy who have been on as many seasons as Amanda. So it's like, who's really a vet here? And then you have people who have played Survivor together, Big Brother. I just love like we have a lot of layers. I like the format that like you can hide, but like you can't just steamroll through people with the majority alliance because one ball changes everything. So I just like that you can't predict what's going to happen. There's no knowing who's going to go in next episode by the end of the previous one.
Yes. Katie, how have you been feeling so far since we've gone these first four episodes?
Yeah, I've been feeling good. I mean, I think the first two episodes, like you said, Josie, were like a little. Well, I don't even want to say they were slow. I think the second episode we got a lot of good content from the green team, but I think these two were the shining stars so far this season. I've been loving it so far. I was pleasantly surprised by the drama because last season of Challenge USA we didn't really get that much drama. We got some, but not enough. And it seems like my guy Josh Martinez is bringing the heat like we knew he would. So I'm just excited. I'm having fun.
Yeah, I'm so glad that Carrie's kind of here because me and Katie have been pro Josh, and I know Carrie is not on the drop wave. I don't know, maybe
Yep.
the season's changed, but I'm excited. Maybe we're gonna have a little bit of some contrast, the difference of opinion towards Josh.
Do you guys know who Draymond Green is?
I'm familiar, but not
That's
intimately.
Athlete, right?
Yes, basketball player. Like got kicked out of an NBA Finals game because he kicked somebody in the nuts, which like arguably cost them winning the championship series. Like Josh Martinez is the Draymond Green of the challenge to me, where like if he's on your side, you love him. You want to root for him. You enjoy rooting for him. Like, he's doing things that are questionable and divisive. And you're like, I don't care because I love this guy. But if you don't like Josh Martinez, you want him to like be in front of the trucks that they were jumping between in one of these episodes. And so that's I actually am a big Draymond Green fan, so that's why I can like respect what Josh brings to the challenge. But I would be so annoyed if I had to be in the same house as Josh Martinez. Like the little I get of him on TV is more than enough. Like he's just not my style.
Well, we're going to be talking more about Josh as we cover these episodes, especially episode 4, Sunday's episode. Let's get into Thursday. So Thursday just comes back after we saw the Tori and John A elimination, which was so sad.
Yeah.
Because we love John A here. And so following John A's exit, we see Tori and Amanda get into it. Tori was, I don't know, she just felt like Amanda owed her some type of loyalty, or at least like tried to protect the vets. And Amanda's argument was, you know, I'm not your friend. I'm not going to pretend to be your friend. I'm not going to be fake. Like that's, you're not going to get that from me, which is very in line with Amanda. How did you guys feel about this fight?
I just feel like it's typical Tori, right? Like she expects the vets to just team up and get people out. She wants people to play the same way she plays, and she's not adaptable in any way, in my opinion, to like play a different way. And that's what drives me crazy about Tori. She's kind of like, for Big Brother people, maybe like a Derek, where like she has a strategy that works for her, but like she cannot adapt outside of that strategy. So she just like becomes a victim anytime that people are against her. And I just like, it's not fun to watch and I can't stand her. So shout out to Amanda.
Yeah, I can't imagine being like, I don't even think naive is the word, but just so like overly confident in like this is the plan, to have someone like Amanda follow it when she hates
Right.
you.
Hates
She
you.
hates you. Amanda would rather like Amanda will lose, so Tori will lose. Like, and she wouldn't think twice about it. She's getting her appearance check. She's fine. Like, obviously she wants to
Yes.
win, but if her losing means Tori loses, she'll be the first one to lose. Hands down.
Yes. And that's why we love Amanda.
Yeah, quite frankly, I was kind of surprised that you felt like there was going to be a sense of loyalty. Like y'all have been kind
what
of
is she
dragging each
thinking?
other in these confessionals. Like I just, the math was the math thing for me in terms of like why she thought like she owed her anything. But regardless, also there was an argument that Amanda was saying about like I was one vote. Like there are so many other people who voted. Like you can't just throw this all on me. And I thought that was
Right.
kind of a valid argument because now it's about the odds. Like yeah, she contributed, but like she was still the majority regardless of Amanda's vote.
Right. Totally.
Especially when it only takes one vote to be put in at this point.
Yeah.
Yep.
I could
100%.
understand Tori's fit if like I'm only voted Tori and then we got like that'd be one thing, but you were one of. Calm down. There's other
Right.
people you could be yelling at.
Yeah, she just expects blind loyalty from people that she's played a game with before, whether or not they're even on good terms or friends. And it's like, you need to have a touch with reality, Tori, because it's not going to happen.
After the fight, we kind of get to see Desi and the other girls unite together. Obviously, their target was Tori, but I think they're still kind of glad that a challenge vet is gone, let alone a woman challenge vet, because they're the two of them were both champions aside Amanda, even though Tori was a target. And so in this scene, we kind of get Desi breaking down the Secret Garden Alliance, which was so fun. I don't think we've had alliance names in the challenge like ever from, or at least if it happened once and it happened a while ago. I mean,
We had the Lavender Ladies.
And then
that's
the
the
Young
one that
Bucks.
sticks. Oh yeah, Young Bucks.
those are the only two I could think of. But like,
Yeah, usually it's otherwise like the red room or like the
Yeah.
the color of the walls in the bedroom is like the
Yeah.
name of their alliance.
Yeah,
Top tier creativity over on the challenge.
Mhm.
And I felt like that was giving very much Big Brother energy. I don't know. Like I don't think Survivor they really named their alliances, especially since Survivor has kind of moved to this like voting block system. So there's no
Yeah.
real alliances. Maybe you have two people who are really close, but that's it. And so that gave me very Big Brother energy.
Yeah, same.
And I was like, okay, I'm here for it. I love a good alliance name. It just makes it more legit, it makes it fun. And so the Secret Garden Alliance, namely what it seems like, it's kind of like this, again, this Big Brother situation where you have this core, or like the three, or like the four, which is like Desi, Chanel, Michaela, and Tiffany. That seems like the four, or at least Tiffany, Chanel, and Desi for sure. Michaela's kind of like that fourth, and then the third layer would probably be like Michelle and the Alyssas. That's the appearance I got, especially on Twitter. And especially in the fourth episode when we see Desi kind of break down in front of Tiffany and Chanel. It seems like those are her people.
Yeah.
And so it's giving kind of a structure, which is quite interesting. And I'm interested to see if that structure will play out for the rest of the season, because obviously not everyone can make it to a final, even though you're in an alliance of 8 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can I ask you both a very important question about this alliance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that Derek Frazier also took credit for the creation of this alliance? Because I was on that motherfucker's Twitter this week. I somehow stumbled there. I have that man muted because every time he comes up on my timeline, I'm just like, this is dumb shit. So I muted him. And his fucking bio is he created the cookout. No, I'm not a Big Brother fan for anybody listening, but I do like read along on Twitter until the season pisses me off enough, and then I meet the hashtag. And there's no way that man created that. How do you dare claim? Is he gonna take the claim for creating this alliance too? Fuck that guy. Sorry, had to get that out.
So a plug for our video from the Big Brother 25 premiere party. Isaiah asked him, settled it once and for all, asked him and Kyland who created the cookout. And I think they have their answer down. It was a 3-way credit that was given. Tiffany made the structure. Big D came up with the name. Or no, Xavier came up with the name. I think Big D said we should all work together. Xavier came up with the name and Tiffany came up with the plan or something. I don't know. They figure out a way to explain it all.
Founder of the cookout. Get out. Sorry. If there's anyone that I'm glad that has not gotten the call for this show, it's Derek Frazier. I know he whines about it on Twitter. Like,
he has a lot of feelings about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like, you didn't do anything athletic in a non-athletic show. What do you plan on doing on a show that you actually have to be athletic? Your dad was an athlete. That doesn't make you one. Like, Jean's must have skipped
Big D catching strays.
There. No, these aren't strays. These are direct shots. If he's listening, come at me. It's KG.
Oh my God.
I will gladly have a conversation with you in my mentions for everyone to see. That dude annoys me so much.
I love how passionate you are about Big D when you don't even watch Big Brother.
He is so annoying on Twitter that I couldn't have tolerated him. I did watch his I watched the last episode of that season, but I mean, like, just afterwards on Twitter and all the whining about not being on the challenge, like, no, you didn't do anything. Did you win a single comp on your fucking, like, you roll around in goo? Isn't that what they did this week? Like, please,
yes, they did
you do not get to come on a show where you need to actually be able to do half athletic shit, half like daring shit. No, I'm so glad that you're not on it. And change your Twitter bio.
I will be.
Kari has spoken.
Period. Yes. And so, but like, back to the Secret Garden alliance. How do we feel about this alliance and people in it?
I'm rooting for them. I feel good about it. I feel great about it. What's not to love?
Team Desi through and through, because she got fucked last
Yeah, she got
season.
totally fucked last season.
So
yeah,
I want her to thrive, and if it means that she is in a functioning alliance, and it seems like I watched Chanel on Survivor very recently. I watched 3 seasons in like less than 5 days, so shout out to me. But
yeah, damn.
Listen, I'm enjoying her on here too, so I feel like she's got like good people around her. Tiffany's smart. Michaela's got a little bit of everything. Like, but she can kind of like hide behind all of those people in different ways as well. So if Desi's in an alliance and she's the center of it, I'm here because she deserves everything nice and nothing Enzo. Was that who it was?
Yes, that was who it was.
Yeah. Fuck him too.
The meow meow.
The meow meow.
Oh, right. That guy. I used to bitch about him too. Oh, man. What a time.
Oh, my God.
The thing about Chanel, and I mean this with love, and it's a compliment from me. So I don't want anybody to clip this out of context and say I'm dragging her because I love her. But she gives me Josh energy in a good way. She makes such good TV. She's not afraid to get messy. She went toe to toe with Josh. We'll get it. Obviously, I'm getting ahead of myself. But like, this is why I love her, because I also love Josh Martinez, obviously, on the challenge. We don't need to talk about him on Big Brother, but Chanel she's like not afraid to get down and dirty and messy. And I really like that about her. And she was the only one that was like, I'm willing to go to a stalemate, and Josh was willing to go to, they're a little similar, but that's why I mean, all for the good reasons that I like them both. So that's not a drag. That's a compliment.
In the conversation about the alliance, it makes it clear that the rookies, again, very weird because Tiffany and Desi have both been on the Challenge USA before. But anyways,
Desi literally
and
made a
Michelle was
final.
on
Yeah.
the flagship show of the
Yeah.
challenge, and anyways, so the rookies, I'm putting that very loosely, aren't afraid to take big shots, and their guns are pointed squarely at the veterans. That's what was said, and it's foreshadowing for what we'll see next in the next two episodes. I mean, we kind of saw it in the previous episode as well with the Tori and John Avo, but I think this is a very interesting comment that is made in episode 3 for the next things that will happen in the following episodes. And so we get the daily challenge. Quite frankly, wasn't a fan of it. It was capsized, and it was teams must swim to a boat and purposely capsize it to reveal answer keys, memorize it, and then one at a time they must swim out to grab these flags and collect all the flags, hang them on the boat in the correct order, and then swim back at the dock to win the challenge. Any thoughts on the challenge?
Nope.
Sebastian being like, well, I know how to actually capsize a boat. Like, just like, thank you for letting us know that, Sebastian. Very much
This was a
appreciate it.
snooze fest for me.
Absolutely.
Total snooze.
It was so boring. Like, red team didn't do well, but who was surprised at this rate? We're 3 episodes in. Red team is not winning. Like, it's kind of about to happen, which is so sad because I personally am, I think, rooting for the red team more than I am the green team at that point in time. And so I'm just like waiting and itching for them to finally get a win. And I thought, like, anyways, I was hoping for a win from them, but it didn't look that great. Tiffany can't really swim. Tiffany, girl, let's get these lessons. I'm tired of people going to shows and not knowing how to swim properly. Like,
we need to put an end to this.
Especially if you want to make it to a final. Like, how do you? No one's gonna help you in a final. So why not prepare from that from start? I think Leroy's a good example. Love him, but horrible swimmer for the longest time. And I think he got better with time.
He took lessons.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, like, if you're known, like, if you know you're going to do this show, if you know you want to participate in shows like the challenge, the least you can do is, like, take swimming lessons.
There's just so much swimming, even in the challenges that aren't swimming based. There's like shit hanging over water. Like, you're gonna have to swim. If you've watched one episode of the challenge, you know there's water everywhere. You're gonna have to swim. Just take swimming lessons. I'm not a strong swimmer. If I was going on the challenge, I would absolutely take swimming lessons. Same with Survivor. I would have to take swimming lessons if I went on Survivor.
Well, that's my thought, is like, especially recent seasons of Survivor, and since they added in like the 4-person or like 4 left final fire making, like you're seen as a doofus if you come into the show and you haven't practiced making fire. Totally. Or like, even it's gotten to the point where like that Carson kid like printed out commonly used puzzles, and like people are practicing because they know they've gotten on the show. We need TJ to kind of like take a page out of Jeff's book and really like celebrate those who are like, you went and swam laps every single day for the last 400 days leading up to the season. Like, this is how much people love being on the challenge. Like, maybe we need some like TJ, either positive reinforcement, or I personally love to be shamed. I find that to be more useful in me, like, getting my ass in line. Like, hey, buddy, you just going to keep drowning? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing over here? But we need TJ, I think, to be an influential factor in getting people to learn how to swim.
Yes.
Honestly, all he needs to do is start laughing. Like, there's nothing
I know
at TJ for being bad at something. Like, I would be humiliated. TJ's laughing at my swimming, ain't no way. And then so we saw red team go first, and then we saw blue team divide the quadrant, and like, I guess it like helped them. And then green team was horrendous. I would compare the green team to the equivalent of the Titanic. It was horrible. It was horrible. It was just like, it was just a mess. They were all over the place. And it's crazy because Wes is a really good swimmer. So if it solely was about swimming, I'm sure Wes would have ate that down. But unfortunately, not everyone is like Wes. And not everyone can swim. I'm pretty sure this is the same episode where West threw a comment, or West made a comment about Michaela, and Michaela also made a comment about West. And he was saying that Michaela was very paranoid, and she was saying that like West doesn't really have their best interests at heart. And I think this is like a theme that we see with Green Team, like just not fucking with West. Pardon my French. And I think it starts the precedence of it. And I'm sure there's much to it. I was told that I saw Amanda tweet that Wes and Michaela got into a huge argument for like
How are we not seeing that?
Yeah, like a long period of time. Like I don't know what exactly was being said, but it was apparently long, and like he actually like had a hissy fit. But I mean, I'm not to say that I don't trust Amanda, but like I don't know. I wasn't there, so I'm gonna choose to believe Amanda, but production, what's going on?
I know. Show us.
I'm not sure I understand why you would take a stance against West of all the vets, because if there's one vet who will turn and work with you, that's been Wes's MO for years. Like, sure, Johnny is his number one, but at the end of the day, Wes wants to win. And like, he's been known to work with, and again, we say rookies lightly, but like the rookies to take out the people that he knows are the biggest threats to him. And so to like, Wes wants to play, and if it means playing with the rookies, he'll do it. If it means playing with the vets, like he'll do it. But to turn on, I just don't understand. Of all of the vets to isolate or like to ice out, Wes would be the last one I would do it to.
Yeah, I agree with you. We actually said the same thing in our cast breakdown about Wes, because we were interested to see, like, would he work with the traditional challenge people, or would he lean more on the side of like the Big Brother Survivor just to get himself further in the game? Clearly, he's working more with the vets this season, which I'm actually surprised about. I was expecting him to be a little more fluid, but maybe it is the Johnny and the Tori of it all, like kind of forcing him a little bit into a corner.
Well, I mean, like the rookies are kind of leaving him out of it as well. It's almost like they're not even giving him
they don't
the
seem
opportunity
interested
to like show allegiance to them.
Yeah.
So the results read that the green team got 19 correct and that blue and red got all 20 right, but blue did the job faster. So they're the ones who are safe. The crowd boos, tomato, tomato. Who wants blue team safe? Not me.
Not me.
Like I there's no one to root for on the blue team. I mean, there was someone I could potentially see like, okay, maybe I would root for them, but later on we see that they may not be on the blue team after all. Are we, Kari, I want to know, how do you feel about the blue team? Because me and Katie have been dragging them as much as we possibly can.
I don't know if I like feel passionately about a team winning since they introduced like, I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? It feels like, am I just attaching myself to a color? It's going to be like beep bopping around. I will say like the one person who has surprised me most from blue team is Chris from Survivor, because I just was like, oh, okay. I was expecting to like find you kind of annoying just because I found kind of, and I've been like pleasantly surprised with him. So I'm like low key, like if he does well, fine. Otherwise, I don't know. I liked Alyssa last season on the challenge because I felt like she just didn't give a fuck and did what she wanted. And I mean, like we see more of that, but I don't know. I don't have like a team where I'm like, oh hell yeah, when they win, I'm like standing up and cheering with them.
Yeah. I'm just actively rooting against the blue team.
Yeah, I think literally the moment Tori changes teams.
Then I will be actively rooting against that team. Whatever team she switches to, I will then be actively rooting against them.
Like my worst nightmare is that she joins red team. Like I like rooting for red team. I think she should just stay there because I like green team.
Just
I like
stay there.
Red team.
Yeah,
just stay with the blue. So once we get back into the house, we have this conversation about Corey and how he feels like he's at the bottom of the vet alliance. And honestly,
he's at the bottom of that fucking group for like a decade.
I know. Poor Corey, fighting for his life.
We have to continue to have this conversation across multiple cable channels. It's just wild to me.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like the vets have never. I think anyone who's young buck, except for maybe Nelson. I feel like Nelson's a bit of an exception, but maybe it's because he's been on more seasons, or maybe he's more likable. I don't know, but um, it's just kind of funny to me. Like it's like and this is where the entitlement of the vets come in, because he says that like he feels like he's at the bottom with reason. History has shown that no one like really has Corey's back, and it's so funny because even like someone like Bessie's never really had Corey's best interest at heart either. Like
Right.
no one really has ever had Corey's best interest except for maybe Nelson. And so it's funny now he's coming into a season where the vets need each other. They need to support each other. But it's like, to what extent is someone willing to help a vet knowing when it shakes down to maybe the 6 of them left, like if someone has to go or if there's an exception, they're there. So I was just curious, like, do you think the entitledness of the vets is a reoccurring theme this season? And if so, like, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I think based on what we see in this episode and the following episode, we can see that the vets are definitely feeling some entitlement for sure. Plus, I think that's just Tori's, like, MO, is that she just feels entitled to everything. So yeah, I think it's carrying throughout. I feel for Corey. I don't know what Corey needs to do. Like, there's 6 vets, 7, 8 vets, 2 are one is gone, 2. I don't know how many. 2 on each team. That's 6. Yeah. So it's like, even out of 6 people, Corey can't catch a break when they desperately need each other, then like, Corey, I don't think it's going to happen for you. So I think, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, I do feel like Corey made the right decision at the end of the day, because like he wasn't getting anywhere with the people he was trying to be with. So I'm not mad at him for that, but I do feel like, I don't know, Josie, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I have a lot to say about Johnny Bananas and what he gives us later in this episode.
Yeah, the entitlement, I think that this game should be played in the way that they've been playing it for the last like 10 plus seasons, which is there's a majority alliance, and that majority alliance steamrolls through the people not in said majority alliance. And the fact that they are no longer the majority alliance for the first time in a decade, that like there's issues. So they're trying to get these people like Tori expecting Amanda, or like Bananas expecting Corey to step up for them, when like have for them in seasons prior to this? Absolutely not. There's one justification I can come up with, though, for like why Corey gets treated this way. And I'm going to ask you to consider this. What does Corey bring to a team for you? He's fast, but he's not the fastest. He's strong, but he's not the strongest. And I'm not sure he can read. So I just tell me one puzzle he's ever figured out.
No, Corey is a flop. He's a professional flop. He's not good at this game. So I get it. But like, there's power in numbers, right? He brings a vote, and you need the vote. That's really it. But like, I'm not trying to pair up with Corey if I'm on the challenge.
No.
Plus, I think he has like a bum knee or 2 bum knees or something. Like, there's something with his knees that are like, he's not going the long haul. I'm sorry, Corey, but like, get your appearance check. Shout out to you. I like him.
I just don't like. I support Corey for doing his own thing, because he at least like recognizes it. I feel like there's a lot of people who kind of just like, oh my God, like Dusty, like Johnny Bananas is talking to me, I'll do whatever he says. That I support him doing what he wants, but I just think that like Corey has found himself in this way, in the same way that like people need to practice swimming. Corey, download a slide puzzle app. Maybe do a Sudoku once or twice a week, like,
yeah.
Build up those brain muscles.
Did you guys know that Corey has a family at home?
Does he have kids?
He like hasn't really mentioned it a lot, but I thought it was interesting. He mentioned it like once in passing. Oh. Yeah. It was news to me. I had no idea. Mm-hmm.
A father.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine someone like going into elimination for him so that he has a better chance of winning, even though he can't do a puzzle and there's at least one puzzle in a final? Wild.
That person, if that happened, would be a king, an icon, and a legend in my heart. forever. Shout out to Nelson.
I have a question about Nelson. How come we haven't found out how his car crashed?
Listen, I don't know.
I
don't know the answer.
Low, north,
I don't know the
south,
answer.
east, west. I just want to know. That's all. Just want to know.
Yeah, it's a valid question. Also, Natalie brings up a good point. Corey's hot, but he's not good at this game. And I think that's fair. That's a fair assessment. That's what he brings to the show.
Corey in a sentence.
Yeah, Corey in a sentence. Hot, but not good at this game. That's it. I think we might have lost Josie.
That's okay.
For
I
a
hosted
bit.
the show once before.
Yeah,
We can
Kari,
keep
you got
going.
this. Yeah, we can keep going.
So what happened? We're at deliberation next, right?
Yeah, I guess after. Oh, she's back, I think. We go next to deliberation, right, Josie?
Well, yes, we see the deliberation, but before that, Alyssa comes up with the plan to go up to Corey and kind of make him realize, like, hey, you're on the bottom. Why not join us? And this is like the first time I start to like Alyssa. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe it's because she's not anti-cookout this season, which is nice. And she's actually working alongside Tiffany, but we see her kind of tap into this big brother energy where she talks to Corey and convinces him to do, or at least tries to convince him to switch the vote. And that's when we kind of see that conversation with Corey. But next is the deliberation. And this is when we have one of the funniest things ever. I think Tori thinks she's going to get her way. And
she's a
Alyssa's
clown.
like, you're not going to come in here and run it like last time. I think both Alyssas, especially Alyssa Snyder, like I think she kind of thought she was like going to be cute and bubbly and like get her way. And she really realized that you have to kind of be assertive. And we didn't see that from her, but I'm glad that Alyssa L manifested this. How did you take this whole deliberation scene?
Yeah, I think good for Alyssa. I mean, we've been getting a ton of confessionals from Alyssa too. It almost feels like she's narrating the season for us, which makes me think she's going to play a pretty big part in a lot of the strategy and all of the stuff that's going on, or at least she's going to make an impact, which is interesting. I wish we got a lot of this Alyssa from on Big Brother. We didn't get any of this from her on Big Brother, so it seems like as she's on TV a little more, maybe she's learning. But I loved anybody that puts Tori into her place they get a +1 from me. So this was really this was really good from Alyssa, and I really just love that she was like, no, we're going for bananas, and like that's what's happening. What about you, Kari? What did you think of it?
When she goes, maybe not everything is about you, and Tori just like sat there in silence.
Iconic.
Someone had to tell her, because I feel like Danny tried to politely tell her last season when he was partnered up with her in the World Championship. He would make these comments like, well, I hope Casey loses because then you lose one of your number ones and maybe I become your number one. And like he wouldn't directly be like, no, stop being selfish. Where Alyssa just like one-upping it and be like, nah, dog, maybe not everything is about you.
Yeah.
So we're voting for bananas.
Loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. It definitely like blew up on Twitter, which I saw that before I saw the episode.
Yeah.
And good on you, Alyssa.
Yeah, good on you for sure. I thought the rest of this deliberation was also just really, maybe fun is not the right word, but I thought it was just interesting, the dynamic. And it's just I always enjoy when a majority is now in the minority and they have to try and weasel their way out of it. I feel like that's really where you get to see how good of a game player people are. And in this moment, we really didn't see much from Tori. And I thought it was also interesting too that Fessel isn't really aligning himself with the vets the same way that Josh is. Fessel's, I mean, we don't really know. We're not getting like anything from him at all. It's like he's barely in the show. I know, God bless. Although he really actually made me laugh out loud in this episode, and we'll talk to it when we get there. But like, I think I'd even tweeted and just said like, I can't believe that Johnny Bananas is making me be on Fessel's side. But yeah, no, I thought it was great.
In Bananas podcast, I didn't listen to it. I read a recap on Reddit. He made a comment that like Fessy is kind of taking the CT role this season of like he's not doing a lot of talking and just letting his like athletic performance speak for him. And honestly, like, that's probably best for Fessy. Like,
Right.
he is messy, rhymes with Fessy for a reason. His social game has never been great. So
Yeah.
I think that's a great role for him to fall into. Just like, you know what? You are not seen as a big target right now. Like, keep it off of you, lay low, and just kind of like go with the flow for a while, because that flow will catch up to him eventually, but it doesn't need to be right now for him.
Yeah, totally. So we get Bananas as the vote, and remind me who the female vote is.
Was it Amanda? I don't know. This feels like so long ago.
Was it Amanda?
Yeah, so we get Johnny as the vote. And then
Because it couldn't be Tori.
No.
So
and Janae is gone, so
it must have been Amanda.
Yeah, it had to be Amanda.
Oh, okay. So Josh got 2 votes, Tyler got 3, Chanel got 1, and Polly got 3, and Monty got 5.
No, we're in the deliberation.
No, we're still in the deliberation.
Oh, goodness gracious. Sorry. I think the female nomination vote was.
Yeah, I think it was Amanda, because Amanda
was trying to rally the guys to get.
Everyone was like, we're putting all votes on guys because 2 women have gone, and Amanda's like, oh hell yeah, I'm not gonna have to go in. And then like when the one female ball comes out, she's like, motherfucker. So it was Amanda who got the vote.
Yes, I think since Tori got the like kind of like okay to not like support the vets, Amanda was the automatic vote. Like the blue team girls wanted it, and she wasn't going to protect Amanda because Alyssa is a part of the Secret Garden, so they were always going to push Amanda as the option. Because there are no more female vets, which is going to be so interesting moving forward, because this is something we'll see a little bit later on explored. But what happens when there's no more female vets? Then what? Or when the last female vet isn't available, then what? Who are they going to cross first? And that's an interesting conversation that I'm excited to delve into. But yes, Corey decides to vote with the rest of the house. Amanda for the man, and then Amanda feels no type of way about Amanda, so they get to be the 2 people for nominations. And then we get what I'm sure Katie would love to talk about, is the Johnny Bananas scene. First of all, sometimes I get really annoyed with the edit when they make these dramatic, messy moments into like these weird cartoonish things. Like I love the challenge for the drama. And for this specific case, I actually didn't hate it. Like them kind of clowning on Johnny. And so Johnny pretty much whines, and we kind of get the sequence of him complaining. How did you feel about that scene?
This was maybe one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen on the challenge. And there's been so many ridiculous things on this show that I'm just like, what was going through Johnny Banana's mind here in this moment? I think he called Kari a bitch a bunch of times. He called Fessel a bitch. He walked around the house. I mean, like, he just went on and on and on. I mean, Tori immediately was like, no one cared about what I had to say. They're going to pick us off one by one. Like, there was nothing I could have done to save you. Like, and I'm just like, these 2 are such clowns. Like, I'm just actually embarrassed by the way that Johnny Bananas acted. You're a 40-year-old man. He said in one of his confessionals, he's like, I feel like this is my rookie season. And it's like, dude, this is the first time that you haven't run the house in like 30 years. So maybe like now you see what it's like to have the shoe on the other foot. And once again, to me, it just shows that you're not a good player. You go in with this huge group of people. I've always personally felt like Johnny Bananas has been very overrated. I think he's average at everything that he does. He's just good at having people that back him. And that's why he always gets so far. And he's not afraid to stab people in the back. But I think at the actual game, he's not very good at it. So I just kind of love to see him spiral out of control here. And it was like actually truly embarrassing. There was one thing when he approached Fessel, I hate it, but he really made me laugh when he was like, you're a bitch too, dude. And Fessel was like, why? And he was like, what planet do you live on? He's like, my own. It's just like, I don't know. I watched it like 3 times. It just like really made me fucking laugh. It just really made me laugh. It was giving Who Flipped energy. Like just that was Big Brother Fessel. He was just like
Kari,
laying
how
on the bed,
about
not
you?
giving a fuck.
This was like peak of the entitlement for me, obviously, because again, it's like you don't even know how to play this game, like blah blah. I invented this game, like wow, you invented just like walking through seasons, not getting put into eliminations because you've like played with the same people and create these like outside the game bonds with the same people and are not able to just like carry that into the house, and you actually have to do something like the game. He isn't changing to this game. Like there is a
Right.
way for there's a path for him. If you I mean if Dusty's going to bow down at you, like
Yeah, can we talk about that?
you've got Dusty
Yeah.
and Luis, like there's two people. There's other people at the bottom who will like okay, we're seeing that there's this group running things. So let's change it up. Like instead of going on this whole tirade that like people aren't playing the game, like they don't know how to play. Well, meet them at their level if you're such a good player. Like and the whole
Yeah.
like are we playing Survivor? Are we playing Big Brother? Like do you want people
Yeah.
to leave their prior experience in playing social strategy? Like that's just like not educationally sound. Like
Right.
there's this whole thing called like the transformational learning theory, Johnny Bananas. I will
Oh,
gladly talk to you about. I had to write about it last week in my homework. But
Okay,
like
education.
yeah, listen, I might watch a lot of reality TV, but I also have to write a lot of papers.
she's gonna be a
So
doctor.
yeah, I can't help you medically, but I can talk to you about learning theories. So in conclusion, just like shut the fuck up and learn how to play what they're playing.
Right. Also, the best part about this is that he's like, you don't know how to play this game. He's talking shit to Corey specifically and is like, this is why, like, blah, blah, blah. You're never going to win. You're never going to do this. But, like, Corey had to do something different. He was never going to get in with you guys. The second that Yvette had to go up, he would have been the sacrificial lamb. He had to do what he did. He had to. So it's like, you're mad at him because he's actually switching it up and trying to do something different. And you're trying to do the same old strategy and it's not working for you because you don't have the numbers. Corey is not the one that's eligible for elimination this week. You are, Johnny Bananas, and it almost was you. So, like, maybe you're not playing this game that great. Maybe, I don't know why you're saying this is why you'll never win this game. It's like, he's actually trying to do something different and switch it up. You're the one that's just, like, stuck in the past.
I like the comments that you guys both made because this is the first time I think a lot of these vets are facing adversity. And I think this is why I like the Challenge USA like more than like the challenge flagship shows because these people like yes are technically rookies but this is not the first time they've been on a show where they have to be strategic and think about
Right.
themselves and like navigate house dynamics or the dynamics of the challenge itself. And so Johnny is like one of the first we see, but like Tori is another example of this. And like in episode 4, and I think what we'll see in episode 5 is Wes also feeling that way as well. And it's kind of refreshing. I'm kind of over every season. I always complain. I'm like, why aren't the rookies stepping up? Like,
Yeah.
why are they not going against the vets? They have the numbers. And so it's really nice and refreshing to see the vets feel how these rookies feel and like almost like I don't know, not to prey on people's downfall, but like it's entertaining. I'm enjoying it. Like Johnny Menezes throwing a fit after he loves to throw the whole his whole saying about all is fair and love and challenges. What happened to
Yeah.
that? What happened to
Right.
that? Like 2 seconds
Mhm.
ago you were all about it and now all of a sudden you're not about it. What happened
Yep.
to that? Like were you not are you not the one always giving the speech? Are you not the one always laughing at people, manipulating people? Like it's so entertaining to me, quite frankly. I love when the pendulum swings the opposite side.
If you
Yes.
like look at it at a bigger scale, because I was thinking about this earlier, knowing I was coming on tonight, like
Mm.
Tori and Devin were the first people thrown in on Ride or Dies, right? They had to go against Kayla and her husband. They beat Kayla and her husband in like a maze that Devin has on his fucking coffee
His
table,
coffee
right?
table. Yeah.
But oh no, am I cutting out? Okay, because
no.
No.
okay, cool. Okay, you both like looked frozen. So
No.
that was probably the last time that Tori was in like the not majority alliance. But then MTV brought in like 4 pairs of her friends. You know what I mean? Like MTV was looking out for MTV people. And now I think like if you think of the structure of the show, they did bring in 6 vets who all like care about the challenge. Amanda, I think, cares making money. And so like 5 vets and Amanda who care about the challenge and like the show that they've developed coming back over the last 20 years. And then you also have these like strong game players. Like there's no one really in that house from the other shows. Maybe like Sans Dusty. I don't know. He hasn't impressed me at all. But like who isn't really like playing this game. And so the fact that we kind of have like the vets not only on an unequal setting, but they still care so much. Like, I just think it just really sets this season up to be far more successful than things we've seen, because we've seen like the Tories and the Bananas, not so much the Wesses, but even like Corey to an extent, be insulated by their prior relationships. And like, even those prior relationships aren't going to get them as far as they have in the past. And I just like really appreciate that we're not going to all of a sudden have like Casey and Nani show up, hopefully. Like, fingers crossed.
And we're actually finally getting something different this season. And I think we've all been calling for it. Josie, you said it. Kari, we've talked about it a lot. It's like we see the same people season over season. We see the same, which leads to just us seeing the same gameplay, and it's boring. We're finally seeing something different. We're seeing something get switched up, and we're seeing people who are usually on the top have to shift down to the bottom and face adversity, like we've been saying for the first time in a really long time. And it's actually delivering a lot of fun television. So casting for a flagship show, take notes.
For sure.
I mean, sorry, Josie,
No,
can I make one more point on this? Yeah, I think like, because it's going to come up soon anyway, I think like the person who I'm most impressed with, like being willing to work with anyone after their prior relationships, is Pauly. Being willing to drop his shit with Bananas, drop his shit with Josh, and be like, all right, like you, me, red team, let's fucking do this. And without like batting an eye. We lose Pauly too soon, spoiler alert, but like, I appreciated his approach to the game because he was willing to make amends with enemies to possibly go farther. He was talking to a bunch of people. Like, maybe people need to take notes from Pauly. I can't believe I just said that out loud, but there was a question mark at the end. I reserve that question mark to change my opinion at any given time in the future.
I know we really haven't talked much about Pauly, and I feel like when I was watching this and we got the first clips of Pauly just talking about how he's changed over the years, and he talked a little bit about his sexuality, which I thought was a beautiful conversation, and shouts to him. And I'm glad that he felt comfortable enough to come out to the world on such a stage. Like, good for you, Pauly. I'm psyched for him, and I'm not a huge we love him because he's a menace. But as soon as he started talking, I was like, well, I could tell by the edit, Pauly's out this episode. And I was upset about it because I was one of the people that was very excited to see Pauly back, especially sans Kara. And I do feel like he's really changed and grown as a person. It seems like he's harnessed a lot of the stuff that he was dealing with and, you know, that made him so angry. And he's put a lot of stuff into the past and been able to move forward. And even when Johnny Bananas is like having his meltdown in the kitchen, which is really where it became cartoonish, where he's like, well, when I'm out of the house, what are you guys gonna do? And we got to see like the shots of everybody kind of like laughing at him, being like, whatever. Pauly was just kind of sitting there, not reacting. I think Johnny Banana said something like, "What? This is what this game comes to. Is that my best ally is Pauly?" And Pauly was just like, it was a nightmare. Yeah, and he just like laughed. It was like, yeah, it's like a nightmare. I don't know. It just felt like we saw a lot of maturity and change in Pauly. So, yeah, shout out to him. We haven't really talked a lot about him, but I'm bummed to lose him so soon. Again, spoiler alert.
I mean, I'm glad upset about it. So
yeah, so I assume you watched.
That's on you. That's on you.
I'm glad that we talked about that you guys mentioned Pauly because quite frankly, like again, like kind of what you mentioned, Katie, I was very excited to see Pauly back. I'm tired of hiding my truth. You know what?
Yeah, like, listen, this is a season of truths.
There are people that I like to see on television, whether you like it or not. Josh is one of them. Pauly is one of them. Like, yes. Do I agree with them 100% and everything they do? No, but I am here for the mess. So when Pauly was announced, I was ecstatic, especially with some of the history and the fact that he is like in the CBS boat, but not also the challenge boat, kind of like we've seen with like Fessel and Josh. And I was really excited to see him I thought he was really going to thrive. Quite frankly, I feel like the flagship show, yeah, like Polly competed in Redemption House and all that stuff, but I don't think he was ever going to be given a fair chance.
Mhm.
Whereas like this would have been the platform to do so, and so I I I enjoy Polly on TV, but I enjoy him for different reasons than when I enjoyed him this episode. I think it was really cool that throughout the entire season or the entire time he's been here, we've seen him make these amends and like raise or address some of the things we've been hearing off the show and like some of the things going on behind the scenes. I thought it was really well done. I thought it was really fun that we get this moment between um Polly and Johnny later. And I feel like there's overall healing for him. And when someone is healed, that doesn't mean they can't be messy or anything like that. But when someone is healed, it's kind of nice to see, especially when you see someone throughout the seasons he's been on where you just like you could tell that like maybe everything's not all right, or like maybe you're just really frustrated in general and you're letting this is your outlet. So I felt like there was somewhat of a full circle moment with him, so I'm glad we got that. I'm sad he left. And I wouldn't say I was disappointed. I wasn't expecting the side of Polly for sure. Like I thought he was gonna go in and like fight bitches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was
But yeah,
interesting. His like two major moments were with the two people that were like rumored to prevent him from coming back to the challenge, with like the conversation with Tori, because the rumor was Tori said she didn't feel safe being on a season with him, and that like it was Johnny Bananas who was like propelling the reasons for people to not feel safe. So whether or not that was purposeful, it's nice to see that like these people we've seen be incredibly immature, say and do dumb shit, can like grow up. And that's
Yeah.
on all accounts, not just one person. So I did think it was interesting that like two of Polly's biggest, like, look at how much I've changed and grown, are with those two individuals.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So I guess we could kind of fast forward into the elimination. I briefly mentioned it, but the votes were basically on men. The women were kind of over another woman leaving. And so they decide, and this also helps Amanda's like objective, like of like not going in. And so we do see one vote for Chanel, which I want to actually ask you guys this question: do you care to see who's voting where? I personally, I love it when I know where the votes are. I
Me
love
too.
it, especially like maybe even a Survivor moment where like at the end we see everyone vote while someone's like doing their confessional. I know in a previous season of the challenge they used to do like the challenge after show, and that's when
Mm.
they would reveal who voted for who. I need them to do like Survivor, to do it like Big Brother, and give us the reveal of the votes. How, like, do you guys actually genuinely care?
Yeah, I care. I want the challenge to be more transparent to me all the time. Like, give me the times of the challenges, show me who's in the lead and who's not in the lead. Give me the votes. Like, I want to know everything because, like I've said in the past, I don't trust this show. So, like, give me transparency in all areas. I want to see it. Also, it helps us just contextualize what's happening. Like, who's working with who's voting where. Like, that's a pretty vital part of the show. So, yeah, I definitely care.
I only care if it like ends up mattering, I guess. Like
Mhm.
if, for example, like was it Josh that voted for Chanel? Is that like what came in the next episode? Like I can't remember. If let's pretend that's what happened, like if it's then ends up being like Chanel's one vote that gets Josh put in, like having the context of that matters. If like
Mm-hmm.
nothing comes of this like one-off vote, then oh, I'll still sleep tonight. I'll be fine.
I think to your point, a big narrative in the following episode is the fact that Josh got two votes, and Josh clearly states the two votes were from Lewis and Chanel, or
But, like,
no,
how does he
Lewis and Des.
know?
Exactly. That's what's frustrating. And also like people can make statements anytime and any day and still be wrong. Like we have often seen in these different shows, someone will claim this person voted for them and it's not true. And those are things that I want to know. Like, even if it's not true, it still matters to the plot because it becomes a whole thing in the next episode. And so I just feel like you should give us somewhere. It doesn't even have to be on the show. If I could see it on Twitter, I frankly wouldn't care. But I just would like to see the votes.
Especially because, and not to get too far ahead, but on Sunday's episode, we saw Josh make the Luis vote a really big deal, and like we didn't even like. Did we see it happen? I don't know. I mean, like they're not putting a lot of emphasis on the votes, but then like the storyline of the season is like this person said my name, and they're gonna say my name again. I'm like, what did? I don't remember that happening. Maybe it happened and it just flashed on a screen really quickly, but yeah, it just feels a little like the story is not connecting in the right way.
The fact that we don't know who voted for Josh and then it leads to this like monkey banging cymbals through like temper tantrum throughout the living
pots.
room.
It's like the pots all over again.
Yeah,
from Big Brother 19.
I kind of like appreciate that we don't know because I just like the house doesn't probably know either. It's a hidden vote. And so the fact that like he is fucking going off for like he's back. He didn't have to go in, and he's like, "Let me just cause some chaos." Like I kind of like that.
This is why I stan. You cut out for the last.
I
word,
said
but...
I. This is why I like that I don't know who caused it because I want to be as like confused in the chaos as the 13 other people who didn't vote for him.
It makes you feel like you're there.
Okay, like you're part of the experience. Okay, I like that perspective quite frankly. Okay, and so yeah, so Josh gets 2 votes, Tyler gets 3, Chanel gets 1, Polly gets 3, Monty gets 5. And then TJ pulls a name from the hopper, and Polly is picked to face off against Banana. What I thought was funny is that Amanda voted with the red team, which I thought was funny. It didn't make a difference in retrospect. But I thought that was kind of funny. I enjoyed.
There was also a moment where she was sitting in the team with the blue team, and she was like speaking up, and they were like, "Amanda, why are you even here? You're not on our team." And she was like, and she just that was so funny to me.
It's like Mean Girls. Like she doesn't even.
It was so funny. Yeah, that was so funny.
I just feel like that emphasizes how like Amanda's gameplay, and it's just like it's all about her. She's a character. She's on a team.
I love it.
She doesn't care if she's. It doesn't matter. Like it's about her. It's her world, and everyone else is just living in it. And I really do appreciate it. Like I just love it. Like it's for the plot. Amanda is for the plot. Like she's not.
And we love her for that.
Yeah, she's the best. So we see this elimination, and the first instant reaction I had was, "This is giving very much Survivor." Like your hand up,
me too.
There's a bucket above you. I guess they had to challengify it by putting this ice with like the balls.
They have a pyro budget that they need to meet every season, so they had to add fire somewhere. There's always got to be fire for no reason.
Like I don't know. I just thought it was so silly. What did you guys overall think of the elimination?
I actually really like this elimination. I thought it was really interesting. I thought the beanbags to turn the fire on and off was really interesting because there's like that means there's strategy also to this. So I was invested on like, oh, who's gonna have the last beanbag? Unfortunately, Paulie had the last beanbag and missed his target, so he didn't get to turn off his fire on the bottom. But I thought it was interesting. Part of me is kind of like, I wish they didn't have the fire and it was just ice. So we could have just seen like from an endurance perspective, how long they could have stayed up there holding their arm up, more similar to Survivor. But I thought it was evenly matched, and I thought it was interesting. And you got to see who's ahead, which I like, or like you could follow it.
I think it just showed Paulie not having the clutch gene yet again.
Yeah.
Bro had gone like 11 for 11 with the beanbags before that, and on the one he needed came up short. And
he was solid. He was like not even blinking. He was just standing there not moving, but that ice unfortunately melted under his feet.
A bad approach to it though. Like why are you just going like tit for tat on that? Like
right.
That's a big ice block.
Yeah.
So I think I would have like held off on some of my beanbags for later.
Yeah, I think so too. It felt like it went by too quickly with the beanbags. Like they should have given them more beanbags or something.
It was it was kind of sad watching the elimination because we kind of just see Polly go, and we have a before the elimination we get this like weird like interjection from like Johnny being like, well, there's no coming back from an elimination if I lose to Polly, and then we get a like a
Dude, he's
180.
lost to Devin.
That's so true. I kind of
Like
forget
that's
that he lost
way
to
more
Devin.
embarrassing than losing to Polly. He lost to Devin.
Polly's like, well, let me not. That's kind of rude, but I was gonna say Polly's a competitor, but you know what? Devin in his own right, I guess. I'm not a John's producer. I don't make the show. I don't make the picks, but um, we see in 180, and like obviously Polly's having this moment where he's like, okay, I can let go of everything, and we kind of see Johnny kind of be like, okay, well, like he did the thing, and his Johnny. Wait, Johnny's so weird to me. Anyways, but
Yeah.
we kind of see this full circle moment, and Polly leaves. Any last thoughts on Polly or this elimination?
Speaking of Devin, I saw that Devin was coming for Polly on Twitter, which is just like, you're really trying to stay that relevant, my dude? Like, why? What's the
I just don't
point?
think it was serious. I feel like he was just like straight up trolling.
This is
What
why
do you
Devin
say?
annoys the shit out of me. Who was he talking about? Like just Polly talking about how he like just was trashing the show or trashing bananas or something like that. I don't remember what he's saying, but just something lame, as Devin does.
Yeah,
He should just
Devin
mind his
doesn't let
business.
his like TV character go sometimes, or like
Yes.
enough to he loses people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know Devin's last name. I would look for him on
Walker, I
Infer.
think.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mm. So from there we get a cut off again. Why? The whole like switching teams thing to me, it's not worth the cliffhanger. Like you could just
No.
show us if said person will or will not switch teams, but alas, I am not the editor. And so moving on to episode 4, we start off with is Bananas gonna switch teams? Is that gonna happen? And he does. He picks the blue team. What do we think about this switch for Johnny Bananas?
I actually thought this was I thought it was a good move for Bananas because obviously the blue team targeted him, so why not go to the team that's going to target you so they can't because they've been winning and the red team was not winning at the time. So felt like it made sense. He obviously switched with Corey.
That's the
I don't
part to
know.
me that's dumb.
That is
because
dumb. I feel like
Petty.
piling
the
up the vets
need
on
to
one
be
team.
on one team.
Yes, pile the vets onto one team. So then, if that team wins, then all the vets will be safe. That's the way it makes sense. It doesn't make sense to switch out a vet with a vet. That was stupid from Bananas for sure. But I think that the switching of the teams made sense for him.
Yeah. So I saw that and I was just I didn't understand it, but I now that you guys bring it up, the strategy is to pile up all the vets.
Yeah.
And wait, did I miss something?
Now I hit my knee
Carrie
on my desk.
clearly
I'm a
hit something.
moron.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. That's like the least of my concerns at the
Okay.
moment. Breathing out of my nose is number 1, and then my knee is number 2. It's fine.
Just fighting for your life over there.
It's hard.
Yeah, so Bananas does a switch and Corey switches to Red. Obviously, this is not what he wanted. Red is on a losing streak, or so they will be, or have been, or whatever. Anyways, English is not my first language, but so we see the daily challenge, or no, we see Desi first break down, and she talks about imposter syndrome and how she kind of the way she's feeling in the house is kind of how she feels in real life and how she sometimes navigates life. And I thought it was an interesting conversation because and this is why perspective is reality, because if you just look straight up at Dizzy and like who she is and like what she's done in her career, like to me it's like it just makes sense, like you're that girl, like yeah, like
Yeah.
you are doing the thing. She, and to some degree, like she's kind of like, I don't want to say kind of, she is inspiring. And so it was so interesting to see the tolls of how like self-doubt can play into someone, and how it kind of manifests in her, especially since, you know, no offense to Enzo, but like Desi, it's not Desi's fault that she got out
No,
of the final.
offense to
She,
Enzo. All offense to Enzo.
All offense.
Yeah.
like she
Complete.
could have easily won that final. So it was interesting to see that conversation have and her rely on Tiffany and Chanel for support. How did you guys feel watching that conversation?
I mean, I think you're right, Josie. It's like you look at Desi, she's beautiful, she's accomplished, she's strong, she's athletic. She's just like, it seems like she has everything going for her. So it like, you know, to see her feeling that way makes it feel at least like more relatable because I think we all feel that way, especially as women. I think all of us do feel that way at a certain point. So like you know, we can all relate, but you're right, she's that girl. And I love just like women supporting women, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially like I think it shows how isolating this game can be.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of us at home who haven't done things like this, that it's very easy to be the, you know, the Monday morning quarterback for
Yeah.
these games. But I mean, she made it to a final last time, and she even said like last time I kind of just got by on my like social bonds, and that she's like really having to play, and just kind of like the level of insecurity within the game just kind of manifesting itself in, or like I guess like her outside insecurities tying with the inside. And I mean, it's a very real moment. And especially like you guys said, if like Desi's insecure, then like why do I get out of bed in the morning? Because she's like a 10 out of 10. So
Right.
but it's, I like when we get like moments like that. I don't
Yeah.
need like a storyline. So
Yes.
like I don't need a season of this. So I think we kind of get like the full circle on it this episode, which is nice.
Yeah, I think they cap it there. I feel like this is kind of like Survivor editing coming through with like the whole like personal stories and like seeing the players as human, which I don't mind if it like ends at the episode. Like obviously this could be, it's a part of her life, and the human aspect of the game is always going to impact the like the physical aspect and it's strategic for sure. But when I want to get like the sappy stuff, I usually expect it from Survivor. So I wasn't mad, but I
Yeah.
liked how open she was because it made me kind of feel seen in some specific aspects.
Yeah.
And like you're not alone, because sometimes these challengers kind of, I don't want to say they come off that way, or maybe they portray themselves as like perfect and like superheroes, and sometimes it's to get the sympathy edit. But I could clearly tell like this was a very important message to Desi's mindset going in throughout this entire episode, which we'll like talk into more.
If I were
But
to
yeah.
say like one thing I wish that they would take from the Survivor editors is like I feel like they're telegraphing a lot in these first 4 episodes with who they focus on with these stories or insight or whatever. Like we got Pauly last episode, and given like
Yes.
especially
They
if like
do this
Pauly's
all the time on the
going in the
challenge.
third episode, like you want to showcase like his growth and story, but like when it's all in either like their elimination episode or when they're being put in or whatever, like I think Survivor's gotten better at it, and I wish that the challenge would too. Like stop telling me in the 5th, and I'm not even a person that's like I'm sitting here dissecting the edit. So if I know what's going to happen, you're doing a bad job, because like I am very literal and I don't try to read beyond or in between lines, and it's like, oh shit. So like Desi's getting put in this episode.
Yeah. The challenge is notorious for this. It's like actually really bad. It's terrible editing.
And that's why
it's giving very America's Next Top Model. America's Next Top Model used to do that all the time. I don't know if you guys used to watch it, but the OG seasons of America's Next Top Model always would focus on the girl throughout the episode that was going home. It was so obvious.
I saw a meme today that was like America's Next Top Model episodes, and it's just like all people like bending their elbows, like hyperextending them.
Yes.
Posing.
Honestly, would do a rewatch podcast, just saying.
I love America's Next Top Model.
Yeah. What a time in our lives.
But
same.
Great television.
Great TV. Unhinged TV. Yes.
Absolutely. Especially the America's Next Top Model slash Amazing Race overlap with a specific contestant. Anyways, I just thought it was funny.
Oh, I don't even know.
Uh, yeah, in like one of the later seasons, America's Next Top Model did like men and women, and one
Oh,
of the
yeah, I
guys
stopped
who made
watching
it
that.
to like the top three, I think. He was on the Amazing Race and won. I'm surprised he hasn't
shit.
been on the challenge yet. Yeah,
Oh, maybe he will be.
perhaps it could be in the cards. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. If he
Mm.
does, then we'll debrief about it in a cast
Yeah, we'll have
breakdown.
to.
But like back to the topic at hand. So we watch the daily challenge, and y'all. Oh wait, no. Before I even get to that, I'm sorry. I just have to phrase this episode immediately because as if for the visual viewers, you can kind of see at the bottom. I said real TV is back. This episode to me was television. This was giving
Yes.
me remnants of the challenge, and with a modern twist. Especially with Josh. Love him, hate him. I love him. Kari hates him.
I love him too. My banner under my name says Josh Martinez Hive. Like, I'm all in. I'm all in.
Josh does what Josh does best, but in a way that kind of has shown me like a little bit of growth. I'm not gonna say Josh has been like extremely like he's grown, but I like the way he uses some of the things, or at least the way he explained it. I'm gonna choose to believe the way he explains it. But we kind of see Josh get like kind of frustrated at the end of the last episode, like about like how things are turning down and like how things are winding down because he wants to work with the vets, which was kind of surprising to me because I feel like Josh always gets the like worst end of the stick, especially with the vets selected.
Yeah, I mean, him and
But
Wes like hated each other.
We see him kind of like hated each other, and I was just like, Josh, this is your opportunity. You are on CBS grounds. Like this is your.
I feel like, what are we doing?
Domain. Like, get your revenge. And then
Yeah.
I feel like Wes just didn't even like allow him to have a space.
Wes was
And
like that
that's
Don
what-
Draper meme of like, I don't think about you at all. I think he
Yeah.
like literally said something like that the last
Yeah,
season
said
they were on
that.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, like War of the World. The season Swaggy was on. I remember he was.
He's
Yeah.
like, I don't even think about you.
Yeah.
He's like, this isn't even a thing. You're trying to make
Yeah.
it a thing. It's not.
Yeah, he's like, and I just don't care.
And I'm not even gonna give you the benefit of that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not giving you the benefit or energy right now. Like this, you want this. This is not happening. So I just thought it was so interesting that we kind of see the like switch where he's like, okay, I'm trying to wake this up. So we hear him kind of like, for lack of a better word, bitch about how the game is shaking up, especially the 2 votes he got. And so we see him kind of like go off. Like that's the best I could describe it because I can't actually quantify in words what was displayed. I don't want to say tantrum. I don't feel like that's accurate, but maybe that's how you guys would describe it. But it was giving something. And so we see this transaction occur. What were your thoughts?
I was obsessed with every second of it. He was just a total mess. And like Amanda's face in the background, she was smiling. It's just like everybody was just like, okay, here we go. Like it just, nobody was reacting. He was just like sitting in the living room or wherever and was just like losing it about, I don't even really know why. He was just like, what is it? Are we playing Survivor? Are we playing Big Brother? You're going to room, you're going to room, you're going to room. Everybody's, and I'm like, what is happening? But I loved it. It just made me so happy. I was laughing. It brought me joy. I was like, this is the challenge I need. This is a challenge I want. And Josie, we said it in the cast review. Josh gives it to us every season. We get boring ass Fessy and Casey who give us nothing. And then we get Josh, and Josh is the one that continuously delivers amazing television. So like put Josh on every season. That's it.
No, I don't need
Yes.
him.
We need him. We need him.
No, 'cause, like,
All we
need
needed was pots and pans for him to be walking around banging.
He just like strives to be, when he wants to make a point, the loudest person in the room. And to me, like, you show your ass so fast when that's your strategy.
Totally.
And like for you guys appreciating that, like, I know based off of Katie and my conversations about Real Housewives that like we are on opposite spectrum or end of spectrum of like who we appreciate. And I feel
Yes.
like it's kind of the same where like I want someone reasonable and there is not a single thing that is reasonable about Josh Martinez.
I want only unreasonable people on my TV. I don't
I'm
need to
like,
watch people be reasonable on television. That's not good TV.
it's not necessarily like that. If he were to be like this chaotic, but also what's wrong is I have a sinus infection. There's nothing else wrong with me.
I thought Natalie meant
No,
your
she's
opinion.
Yeah, that is it. But I'm deflecting hard because I just can't bring myself to like. Sure, it's like I guess like entertaining a little bit, but just like I don't know because then his same thing was like to stand up and yell in people's faces at deliberation. Like I just hate that that's the strategy. Like I'm never really a fan of the person who thinks that like they're this being the smartest in the room is the way to get their way or the like loudest in the room. And I don't know. That's all he really I know he's good at making like relationships and there's people who are gonna have his back, but just like coming in and screaming, like I don't know, speak some sense or into people or something. Or like just doing like a wittier way. There's no wit to Josh.
Oh, I found it witty.
Oh, I didn't. He honestly, I think of him and I think of the monkey with the symbols. That is Josh to me. We just like wind him up and he has a little.
I mean, he literally did it on Big Brother. He was wearing a tutu, banging pots and pans around the house. But I mean, he literally was doing it on Big Brother. He literally did that.
Nah. Josh Martinez. Like once in a while for me, for Josh is fine, but every season, no thank you. No.
They played Josie the like clowny circus music in the background of this, and it was such a missed opportunity that they didn't play the da 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 or like him doing it. Like they should have taken it's on CBS. Take him singing that song throughout the Big Brother house and put it in the background. Why didn't they give us that? That's what we needed.
It was a missed opportunity.
Totally.
I get what you're saying, Kari, about Josh, but I think I saw also in a tweet, but I think Josh is very passionate in general. And I've been in a household where there's several siblings, and when you're passionate about something, it just automatically everyone just starts raising their voice. So I can understand why maybe that's like his go-to. But I think the contrast is really hard when like no one's doing anything. Like I don't think really Desi's like paying him mind. Like,
that's what makes it so funny to me. They're just like, what is happening? And that's why I just loved it. I don't know. Even Lewis in his confessional was like, I mean, we haven't really been like having each other's backs in this game. Like I don't really know. It just made me laugh.
And that's what makes it shine too, because I think like the difference in shows, like this is so Josh Big Brother season 19, and like this is not something that happens. I mean, well, shout out to Jatia. Obviously, her pouring the rice, I think, is the most equivalent thing that we could ever see on Survivor. But that's not typical behavior in Survivor or Amazing Race. So I just feel like the contrast is so stark, and it's so funny and enjoyable. But this conversation about let's do something, like wake this up, like our job, like all this thing is like quite important. I think if for what will happen down in the episode. But I lived for it. One thing about me, I love some chaos, I love some mess, and I love some extraness. And Josh does all three. So now we can talk about the daily challenge. And it's called Side Swapped, where 4 players at a time will hang on the side of 2 different doubles, like these trucks. They must swing back and forth from the trucks to try to get these sticky tags on the opposite side. Their color represent like the colors, their colors. Anyways,
naturally, I don't know what the challenge likes more, fire or hanging off of moving trucks. Like, what can we get some variety, please? What are we doing?
There's a capsized boat last episode. Calm down.
That's true, and I hated that. So I guess stick with the trucks.
I mean, I think the trucks sometimes are a little boring, but the strategic element to this is what made this specific challenge shine in comparison to all the other truck like challenges. Like I will remember this challenge versus like any of the other trucks. Like if you ask me to name or explain any of the truck challenges we've seen in the past, I couldn't name you one. I could visually tell you that it happened, but I couldn't name it. And so maybe we need to keep the trucks, but make it strategic, or keep these strategic elements to it that could elevate the challenge overall.
I don't remember, Josie, if I said this in our cast breakdown when we were talking about team format or if I was just saying this somewhere else, but what I love the most about the challenge is the mess of like people in a team throwing a challenge or like partnering with other teams. This is why team seasons are fun. And I was just so happy that we got some kind of something this episode instead of just like trying to outbeast each other. And again, not to get like too ahead of ourselves, but like two teams teaming up against one team. That is fun. That's old school challenge to me. That's like, well, we're not going to win anyway, so we may as well throw it and do this. Like that I love. I loved this challenge for that reason specifically.
You mean do moves that Wes invented 10 years ago? That's what
I mean, Wes
said in the
is king of.
episode.
I don't disagree with Wes here. Wes and like anything surrounding Wes, I feel like he's king of either like throwing challenges or his team throwing challenges to put Wes in the elimination. Like Wes was public enemy number 1 back in the day, so like that I don't disagree that's. I'll give him that.
I don't want to give him credit because, quite frankly, okay, in this context, first of all, I don't know if everyone on the show has watched the challenge for that long. I think Wes was on the challenge before maybe 1 or 2 castmates were born. So,
yeah, probably. I think you're probably right.
Yeah, I don't want to give him too much credit. I don't think he'd deserve that. But Survivor teams throwing challenges is actually quite normal. Like, people will purposely throw teams to vote out a person on their tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes sense narratively that Chris, a Survivor player, also like pushed this idea. Wes being like, I created that move years ago. Like, brother, like I don't remember all the seasons you played, let alone the strategies you implemented apparently like a decade ago. So I don't want to give him credit on that. Yeah. Unfortunately. But if that makes you sleep better at night, Wes, then kudos to you. But we see the teams compete. And I think there's more pressure this time because TJ informs them that it's a double elimination. So 1 woman and 1 man is going to leave by the end of this episode. And so in the first round, we see Amanda drop a lot of her pieces. I think she dropped 5 out of 8, if I'm remembering properly, which is insane. Like, in comparison to some of the vets who we later on see literally threw their pieces to the floor, I'm so confused how she managed to do that, but alas. And so we kind of see Amanda dropping her pieces have a big impact on the green team because now they have to play catch up in comparison to people who may be missing 1 or 2 of their stickers. And then we see the blue team also quickly fall out of the challenge. And the red team kind of doing well. Chanel tweeted that apparently she did the best out of all the men and the women, meaning that she probably got 8 out of 8, which is really cool. Shout out to Chanel. I kind of wish they would have given her credit for that if she like laid it down like that. And so we see that it becomes a tight race between the red team and the green team. Mm-hmm. And so at this point in time, based off the coverage that we talked about, red and green red has felt like hasn't won anything. And so it's always kind of been between blue and green. And usually these teams, when they're in deliberation, directly take shots at each other. Red sometimes loses members because of votes and like them actually competing in the elimination, but they're never actually thrown in first. Like that's never the case. Josiane was voted in. Paulie was voted in. Well, Bananas got thrown in, but he was a vet. Like he was a man vet, and the blue team won. So obviously they're not gonna, put anyone else when the agenda is to clearly go after the vets. So we kind of see this point of contention. And so Chris from Survivor, he finally woke up. First of all, it was getting very furniture. Like he wasn't, where were you the last episodes? But he comes up with the plan to throw the competition, or that Tori and Johnny should throw the competition to play defense against green so that the red team automatically wins. And so we see the blue team go against, so blue team being Johnny and Tori, go against Michaela and Monty. And I enjoyed this thoroughly. The blue team immediately makes a show out of throwing the disc on the
Uh-huh.
ground and just playing defense. And we see some of the funniest things occur. Monty giving us finally something, makes fun of Johnny being old. I always love when people make fun of Johnny because he's been doing this for over maybe 3 decades. Um, Michaela pulls Tori's hair, which
That was
was so.
amazing. And immediately Tori became like a Karen about it. She was like, she's pulling my hair. Yeah.
Listen, is she
And-
trying to unstrap your like buckles while you're on a
Right. Is she
tightrope,
giving Julie? I don't think
yeah?
so.
Is
So,
it
okay.
Julie Veronica like
Yeah.
trying to commit murder? Okay, calm down.
Yeah. I think
Your
you're fine.
ponytail is still intact.
Yeah. Put your hair in a bun, bitch.
It was so
Learn
funny.
from
I
it.
just feel like if you're ready to play dirty, you're gonna get some scraps. Like this is a challenge. Like you have no problem body wrestling John A to the
I
floor.
know. But you're going to
And
cry that
Michaela
Michaela pulled your hair. And Michaela was like, well, don't be in my way. It was just so funny. It was so funny.
And so then we see them do defense, and the green team automatically loses, and the red team celebrates. What do you guys think about this move? And do you think it was valid for the red team to celebrate? Because that was some discourse I saw on Twitter.
Well, first, before we even talk about that, I just do want to say I forgot what it was like to listen to Monty speak because I don't know, Josie, I know, Kari, you don't know this about Monty, but when he was in the Big Brother house, he like pontificates like an old man and he's like, golly gee, I am so miffed at this challenge. And I'm like, I just like can't believe the way that this guy speaks. Like I just totally blocked that out of my mind that he spoke like an old timey person and he's like kind of doing it again here. So I just thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, I don't think that the red team should have celebrated. It's kind of embarrassing that the only way that you can win a challenge is when another team throws it to just so the other team doesn't win. It's like not even that they want you to win necessarily. They just don't want the green team to win. So like it got thrown to you just out of like pure defense and not even to like help you that much. So no, it was pretty embarrassing. But I love a thrown challenge, like I said, and I love mess. So I loved it.
At the end of the day, it's kind of like a slow pitch softball scorebook where, like, if you get on, if it's an error, it goes down as a base hit. You know what I mean? Like, red team won. Like, who cares how we got here? They got their win. I mean, honestly, I didn't even like think anything of it. I think it almost would have been weirder if they just kind of were like, "Yay, we're safe." Like, just lean into it. Like, you're at this point. To quote Vicky Gunvalson, whoop it up. Here we go.
Whoop it up. Whoop it up.
To your point about Monty, I will say, like, also, I thought it was funny that he was like, "You're gonna get this, old man," and then like proceeded to maybe get 1 point, and I was like, "That is so
yeah, I know."
Because you definitely filmed that confessional after the and you still chose to say that. Like,
yes,
you thought you ate. Like, go give us nothing.
He's just so awkward. He is just so awkward.
Much as it. Oh, go ahead. Keep talking about.
I was gonna say
I don't have anything to say about it.
I was gonna say he just doesn't give confessional reality TV shows. Like, do anything that doesn't require you to do a confessional, and even then, he's kind of giving furniture constantly. So
I mean, even in the Big Brother house, I just felt like when he like got on like a thing that he really wanted to talk about, it's just like I don't know. He's just weird. He just has weirdo energy. I don't know.
I will say, as much as like Tori has grown to annoy me and Bananas is Bananas, I like that the two of them were able to come out and execute a plan. Like, it was, if you're going to go big, like, they didn't have to go home. I like that they were able to like walk the walk and talk the talk. So shout out to them, despite that I never really need to see Tori like do well in the challenge again.
It's sorry, Natalie's comment got me. Yeah, so they won that, and I thought it was kind of funny how they celebrated, and they were like, "Johnny," but I'm like, it's all Chris, which I think is kind of what leads to the Chris vote because, or like the green team wanting to retaliate in Chris. Spoiler, I'm jumping ahead, but I think this was a big purpose. I think green team thought that it was Johnny's idea from the jump, and that's why there may have needed to be clarification on Johnny's part towards West, even though that happened off camera. Um, but I thought it was really funny how I think Johnny, if even if he didn't switch teams, I genuinely Corey kind of carried for red team. So maybe let me not say that, but even let's say hypothetically Johnny was still on the red team and the red team was beating. I don't think necessarily that Johnny being on the blue team changed the course of events. I could be wrong, but the fact that like it almost was like, oh, because Johnny switched teams, this was the master plan. Like, no, Johnny is not the master plan. Like, let's not give him credit where credit is not due. Like he switched teams and then Chris came up with the idea and it happened that way. So I just wanted to debunk that because I think I saw people on Twitter like give Johnny a little too much credit for a move he didn't commit. Like all he did was enact the plan, which like great. Like I have to highlight that, but I think people are giving Johnny too much credit. Like no one was saying, "Oh, Tori's the reason why that just happened." Like no, like give credit to Chris, whether you like him or not. But we see the red team talk about who or prepare to talk about who they are going to send into elimination. We kind of see it divided. We see the secret garden have this conversation with Desi where they're like, well, Desi, they're pushing for you, so we're gonna Michelle, Tiffany, and Chanel are saying that they're going to push for someone else. They're gonna defend Desi and make sure that if Yvette goes in, or if someone from the green team goes in, it's going to be Yvette, which is Samantha, in this case. And so they're talking about. I think it's briefly mentioned about the men. But I think the narrative is also to go with the other vet, which is West. And then we see a clip of Josh kind of talking to the other vets and being like, I'm going to stick my ground. I'm going to go for Luis and Desi, which is in par with what we saw earlier before the challenge, where he was like, you guys put my name out there, so I'm coming after you. And when Josh makes a threat, he's going to try to see it through. Whether he has power or not to actually accomplish a threat is another conversation. But once you're Josh's target, you're Josh's target. And so we see the beginnings of tension between what will arise at the deliberation table. Do you guys have any thoughts about the meetings that were discussed prior to the deliberation?
I mean, it was interesting because we saw Josh say like, I'll go to a stalemate. I don't care. Like, I'll do it. And Josh is dramatic as hell. So like, we know he would do it. But I feel like Chanel also was like, yeah, I mean, we'll go if we have to go. Like, it is what it is. We're not going to put Desi in. And we kind of saw some different things play out at the deliberation. Also, Josh was just like, I just want to play with my friends. And I'm like, these are your friends? I'm just confused. Like, since when? I'm confused.
It's the pre-gaming vacations. I'm telling you.
Yes. 1000%.
We kind of skipped over something that I need to bring up before we get to deliberation, which is that Dusty wrote Bananas a love note.
Oh my God, yeah.
And okay, I have a question. Do you think that he actually wrote it, or do you think Bananas, because Bananas has made up notes in the past in prior seasons of the challenge, could you see Bananas making this up?
I think Dusty wrote the note because Dusty's like fangirling for Bananas hard in his confessionals. He's like, it's my hero. And I'm like, bro, you get it together. Like, seriously, you get it together. This is actually weirdo, embarrassing behavior. So I think he probably wrote the note.
He is so humiliating. He is so embarrassing. What do you mean you're
so
also
embarrassing?
If he was like 21, I'd be like, okay.
Yes.
I kind of understand it. We've seen people grow up watching the shows. I'm pretty sure they're both in their 40s.
He's 38.
What is going on?
Or he was 38 when he was on the show. He's 39. So a 40-year-old man is standing another 40-year-old man. Make it make sense. I don't get it.
Like, stand up. You're no offense. Yeah. I'm glad that Tiffany tweeted. She goes, "Shut up, Dusty. Like you're grown. Like, please stop. Yeah. Like, give me the ick." And it was just you look like a loser. I'm sorry, I have to say, I'm just gonna be blunt. Like you look like
Yeah.
a loser. Stand up. Like
Yeah.
ew.
It's a lot.
And the thing is, if Dusty wouldn't have written that note, I'm sure it would have been like posted on the challenge. He
Yeah.
would have said something.
Yeah, I
But
think he would have been like, I didn't do that. Yeah.
ew, from like jump, like from episode one, like just being weird. I thought it was like gonna die down
Yes.
because like introductions and stuff like that. But it's
Yeah.
like, ew,
Yeah.
loser. Anyways,
Amazing Race hasn't had the greatest showing on these 2 seasons of the Challenge USA.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily need them. Like straight up.
Well, it's weird. Like I kind of like Luis. Like I thought he was
Yeah, he's
cool, but
fine.
like it just doesn't make sense to me why they only cast 2 people from the show. It's like you don't even give them a fighting chance.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
like commit.
It doesn't really
Commit
make
to the
sense.
bit.
Yeah, or just don't have them on. Like there's no women from the show. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Well, because this
but,
does come up, like this relationship is a dynamic
Mhm.
at the deliberation.
Yes.
This
yes,
like one-sided dynamic. Well,
Mhm.
And
no,
I'm glad
Johnny
you-
did show his appreciation in the episode before, saying
Sort
his
of.
only
It was like,
allies-
well, my only ally. What does it come to that my only ally? I mean, he was like a backhanded compliment.
I'm sure he
Which
was
is-
living for it though. The idea of being a Johnny's ally, he was like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I need some alone time. Put me in the
Mhm.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Sock on the
Pants are
door.
getting tight. Pants are getting tight.
Yeah. I'm glad
Yeah.
you mentioned it, Gary. Thank you for that mention. And so we get into deliberation, and this is again, real TV is back. We have them discuss the women, and it's clear that it's either Desi or Amanda. And they just like it's actually my brother. Josh starts getting up and like starts badgering, and he does mention in deliberate like prior to the deliberation that he will use his history in the game or his wiseness in the sense that he knows what happens in stalemates. He knows that that's something that he can leverage, and as much as like as much as I want to believe that Josh would make it into stalemate, I don't think he would have. But I think his confidence in saying like I will do it, I have nothing to lose, like I think that shook fear in a lot of people. And so we see Tiffany, Chanel, and Michelle kind of fight to protect Desi. And they circle back from the conversation and they start talking about the men. And Josh again pushes his agenda. He gets loud. And we kind of see the stalemate begin. And Josh pulls the advice. Well, if these 2 people are off the table, like who else would you want? Cassidy? And this was something really interesting to me because Cassidy previously wasn't mentioned as a member of the Secret Garden. And so for Chanel to be like, no, I was like, and then Josh made the comment, well, are you protecting Survivor? Oh, so now you're protecting Survivor, blah, blah, blah. Which has kind of been the undertone. So far, everyone's been talking about the teams, but it was briefly mentioned, like the Alyssas have both mentioned how their big brother first. But it's under the rug because the team format is so in their face. And so this is the first time I think there's like a direct conversation about like, well, are you protecting Survivor alone? And we don't really get an answer from Chanel. But they're trying to say, well, you have to pick. And the women try to leverage and say, well, if we give you Luis, will you let us keep Desi? And it just doesn't go their way. How did you guys feel about the interactions of this whole thing? Because it was really chaotic.
I have a lot of feelings about this. I felt like Chanel is a real one, and she's really the only one that stuck to her end of the bargain. And even, we got confessionals from her saying, if we have to go to stalemate, like I'll go to a stalemate. And Josh said the same. This is why I kind of liken them to each other. And like I said, that's not a drag because I love Chanel, and I have Josh Martinez Hive on my thing. So I like Josh. I think she is the only one that really has like the guts enough to go toe to toe with Josh and not back down. So everybody else back down. So, I mean, I was disappointed to see Tiffany kind of, she had the deciding vote there to say, like, are we going for Desi or are we going for someone else? And she just threw the vote onto Cassidy or something like that. It was like basically she threw her vote, which we actually saw Fessy do we saw Fessy's partner do, I think, in Ride or Dies, right, Kari? And Fessy was like pissed about Mariah. Yeah, because she did the same thing. And it was like, you're my partner, you're supposed to stop me from going in or whatever, tie the vote. Tiffany very easily could have, and I know she's defending herself all over Twitter saying like it was either like the potential for me going in or, Desi, which I kind of don't necessarily know if I agree with, but because you don't really know what's going to happen. And like it just feels like if you're willing to do it, like I do think Josh probably would have backed down at a certain point. So it's just kind of like whoever, they're playing chicken. Essentially. But we did see Dusty kind of pipe up and say like, I won't be strong on for anybody when Chanel was trying to make a deal. The whole thing was a mess. And Corey was just like, what the fuck did bananas get me into? Which I thought was really funny. Corey was just like, what is going on here? This is a damn mess. And it's just like, they are very clearly not working as a team, which is why they're not winning. But Josh served, I will say. He ran it. He ran the whole thing.
Yeah. I will give credit to Josh when he made the point of like, we finally win and your big shot is Amanda. Like arguably
he's right.
One of the weakest girls in the house. Your big shot is Amanda. Like cut the shit. Like when I remove me rooting for Desi and just look at it from an objective gameplay, Josh is absolutely correct in that.
Yep.
I do find some like irony in the fact that Josh is like, oh, we defending Survivor now, when it's like, what, 5 seasons ago when Devin's in his face being like, oh, Big Brother, like Big Brother sucks, Big Brother sucks. And like Josh like freaking out about it because Josh was Big Brother till he died. So like, oh, how the tables have turned. I did think that was funny as it's Josh's approach. A lot of his stuff like when like this big ass man stands up at a table is just yelling at people because like why? Like sit down and be eye to eye with the rest of us and stop putting yourself in this unnecessary like literal position of power hovering over the person who is opposing you most, which is Chanel. So Josh's strategy, I understand. I liked, like you said, Chanel standing up and being like, let's fucking go. Like I'll draw rocks any day of the week. I draw rocks for fun at home just to practice this shit. Like I don't care. And however, it does not surprise me in the slightest that Michelle didn't keep up her end of the bargain. And especially Tiffany, because like I don't know, if Amanda's not the weakest one in the house, like arguably Tiffany is. I don't think I would be if I'm like an average person in that house right now. Like I'm not afraid if I get called into something against Tiffany, unless maybe it's like straight up cerebral.
I think Tiffany is more evenly matched against the women. Like I think Tiffany could potentially beat either Alyssa. I definitely think Alyssa Snyder, she's never played the game. Like Alyssa Lopez has been Alyssa Lopez has been in eliminations before, so she had, but like so is Tiffany. I think she lost though in her first one, but she has challenge experience.
No endurance. Like,
right.
What strength does Tiffany have that you're like afraid
But I could see her beating Michelle. I could see her, like, I think physically she's matched up. I could see her beating
like
Cassidy.
A full wrestle?
Yeah, it just depends on, I think physically she's pretty even, where I feel like Desi and Tori and I don't know, that's it, are like just the two strong women. My question is, why wasn't Tori the shot again? Why are we not just piling on Tori every single time that she's vulnerable?
They decided at the beginning of the table, they were like, are we, Blue just threw this to us. Are we going to vote anyone from Blue?
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. Said, no. I forgot that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to your point about Tiffany, honestly, I understand her reasoning in the sense that like the fear of the unknown is much greater than like throwing someone in, because at the end of the day, had there been a stalemate prior and they knew what was up, I think maybe the results would have been different. But that's why Josh played to his advantage of the fear of the unknown. And like, I think Josh kind of realizes also that maybe he has less to lose than a lot of the women who are sitting at the table. So maybe he was down to get down, and I think that's why a lot of I think Michelle and Tiffany kind of retreated because they're in such a good position, and to potentially go into elimination because they couldn't make up their mind is quite stupid. Like when you're in a good position.
Josh should
I
be in a good position though. That's what's kind of like strange to me in all of this
mm,
because he could go in any direction at any time and like be the swing vote, be a floater because of his prior relationships. And so the
mhm.
fact that he decides to like go on top of a mountain and yell for everybody to hear and make himself like the focal point, I've seen him play better social games than he has so far in this season. So it just kind of is like confusing to me that this is the approach he's taking because he has ins with like the Big Brother people. He's a Big Brother winner. He could be at like the bottom part of a lot of different alliances here and just kind of like weasel his way through. I just don't understand like why this is approach except for the fact when in his confessional he's like, I'm gonna cause chaos. We need some chaos in here.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm kind of confused by him in all of this. Even though he made some good points, I just like the approach is weird to me because he's socially set up the best, probably, of anyone in this house.
Yeah, I agree with you. It feels like he's really using this opportunity to like prove himself to the challenge vets or something and like hedging his bets for coming back on a regular challenge season. Like he wants to prove that he's, worth being in an alliance with them or whatever. Like that's kind of what it feels like, especially because he was like, I'm willing to go into an elimination if I have to go in, which he sucks at elimination. So I don't know why he would put himself down there because the likelihood of him coming back is slim to none. Like he's very bad at elimination. So I don't know
He lost
why.
tug of war to a guy with one hand. Like,
Yeah, like it's pretty rough. Like Josh's track record's pretty rough. What has he
Yeah.
won? One
yeah, and
elimination in his history.
it was like a kind of a weird one.
Yeah. So
I think the thing is too, we're not seeing the entire dynamics of the house. I think
Mhm.
Secret Garden is the best, like the most. We're seeing this Secret Garden versus vet thing, but I'm sure the reason Josh probably picked the vets is probably because maybe the rookies weren't giving him the time of day. When we hear them talk about, well, when we've gone to confessionals of people talking about Big Brother, they never mention Fessel, they never mention Josh. They usually say Monty, Alyssa, Tyler, these people are in my alliance, blah, blah, blah. And so in my mind, I'm sure that I don't know if Josh picked his side, but this prior to us seeing the divide. Also, we don't know when these things are getting filmed, so
Yeah.
quite frankly, whatever. But it could have
I
been
think
that
that's
like
Josh's fault. That's Fessie's fault. Like, why aren't they mentioning you? Why aren't they seeing
Well,
you as Big Brother?
my question is really about Fessel because it's like, well, one, Tyler's on the show and they were in the same Big Brother season together. Fessel has played
yeah.
very closely with Casey in the past. That's his number one, and that's Tyler's very good friend. We see no
Mhm.
connection with them. That was Tyler's number one in Big Brother, even over Angela. So I just am confused at like, we're just not getting any Fessel content at all, which other than him like laying down with a cat, which like, okay, that was like literally all we saw of him last episode.
It's
So I
always
just
Fessie and a pussy, is it not?
It is. I guess you're right. All roads lead back to Fessy and a pussy. But I just feel like he's traditionally aligned with Big Brother in the past. Fessel. So like, is he doing that this time? Is he not? We saw him vote against the vets in the last episode. And even Tori was like, because Wes was like, even Fessel? And she was like, it was like not even a thing for him. He like just threw the vote. He didn't even care to vote for a vet. So it's like, who's he playing with? I would like to know. It's weird. The storytelling is a little weird.
And that's why I think I kind of blame the edit for the lack of like dots, because
Yeah.
the edit always kind of like what we talked about earlier focuses so much on who's leaving, and
Yeah.
I think they focus on the who rather than the how or why. Because
Yeah.
Paulie again, Big Brother, he was on the season of Big Brother. Why did everyone just feel comfortable? Like, yes, we get the Secret Garden, but like they're not the only dynamics in the house. Yes, they're playing a big part in what we're seeing, but they're not the only elements to the show and why everything's shaking up the way it is. So
Yeah.
I part of me blames the edit, especially since I'm sure Josh and Fessel are each other's number ones, and so the
Yeah.
fact that they're kind of playing two different games is really astonishing to me. Um, but yeah, I Michelle, I don't think Michelle has ever done anything loyal to anyone. I think
Yeah.
that she's actually very entitled too, which is why she kind of gives me bet energy because it's like, what have you done to
Mhm.
merit people's loyalty, but then you get upset like when you don't do it, and then any opportunity you can to show loyalty. Like this could have been a bargaining chip. Like you see
Yeah.
how loyal I am. Like I stuck by my guns, even though that meant me going into elimination. She didn't even use that. So quite frankly, uh like I wasn't surprised like that she gave
Yeah.
up. And then she tried to like deflect and not take accountability. I understand that Tiffany was also trying to push more on her. But it was just like, girl, you're not gonna take a little bit of accountability.
Right.
That's a choice.
Right.
Um, yeah, the whole deliberation was insane. But finally we get to the breakdown and officially Luis and Desi are the votes. So Josh gets his
Yep.
way.
Yep.
The entire exchange was so fun and entertaining to me both. And so the girls kind of debrief, or the Secret Garden kind of debriefs and talks about um, what happened. Tiffany kind of throws Michelle under the bus, but
Mhm.
Michelle doesn't want to take accountability. And ultimately, they just decide, okay, like, or Desi kind of has a moment where she's like, okay, I need to work on my social game. Like, this like kind of just relying on the Secret Garden is not enough. I need to like step it up and like focus on moving forward now that this is the situation at hand. Um, and so we kind of get this like weird like fast forward but flashback in the middle of it. But I'm gonna talk about it in a more organized sequence rather than how the edit portrays the show. But Desi goes out of her way to talk to other people and work on a vote. And the goal is to get Amanda sent in, which is a member of her team, which maybe foreshadows the fact that she maybe switches teams, but I didn't click into it until afterwards
Mm.
when we see it happen. Spoiler.
Right.
And we see her talk to different people of the house. It didn't matter what team she was on; she was working, and her sole purpose is not to inform Wes, which is kind of what an overarching theme that I was talking about earlier when we were talking about episode 3 is these survivor women or the rookies refusing to inform Wes or let Wes get his way or let Wes do what Wes does in the challenge, which I thought was really interesting because we get the team conversation and she just lies to his face. She's like, "Yeah, I would like to go against I believe she said Cassidy. I believe, yeah. I
Yeah, I
think she
think
said
so.
Cassidy.
Yeah, these
And
girls have no time for Wes. No time.
whatsoever. So,
No
what
time.
did we think of this strategy adapted by Desi?
I don't know that it had too much of an impact, to be honest, but I don't hate the fact that they're not showing Wes their cards. I mean, Wes really can't be trusted, so I think they're trying to think 2 steps ahead and keep him out of, keep his hands out of the cookie jar of the green team for sure.
I love his reaction to it though, because it's the polar opposite of Johnny in a way, where like Johnny goes and throws this whole ass tantrum, and Wes was like, good move, good on
Yeah,
them.
game
Like you got
respects
me,
game.
yeah.
Yeah,
And so I like his approach to being blindsided, and because I also think, and he kind of like alludes to it, like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to do something. So I feel like we have some peak Wes coming our way, which
I think
to
so.
me is more exciting than anything else, because when he is like being the little devil that he is, shit hits all the fans. Like production brings in fans so that shit can hit
Can hit
them.
them.
Like, yeah, there are extra fans around.
Yeah.
If anything,
um,
like I want Wes there as long as possible, but if this is gonna get us like fun Wes, let's do it.
Yeah. I'm in.
I'm team fun times,
Yep.
entertaining energy. And so
Same.
when people just have to be their most chaotic self, as in a Josh, as in a Johnny, as in a Wes. Like I will be sad every single time. So I'm glad that we are seeing the potential chaos that Wes can ensue. But because this is also a double elimination, a man has to get voted in, and so we there's just like again the edit is weird because we don't get to see what um the blue team and the team think like who the vote in should be. We don't see it at all. We kind of just see um Wes tell the team during this meeting that Johnny has informed him that Chris is actually the one who came up with the strategy. And so the green team just all agrees, like, okay, oh, he came up with that strategy. He can go and he can get these votes,
Yep.
which I understand. And I thought it was kind of funny because it was just like, okay, like if you're going to
Yeah.
go against us, the whole team is going to vote against you.
Yeah.
So we move forward to the arena and we get the vote revealed. Tyler gets 3, Sebastian gets 1, Wes gets 2, Monty gets 2, Bananas gets 1, Chris gets 6, Michaela gets 4, Cassidy gets 2, and Amanda gets a whopping 9.
Yeah, that was
Which
rough for her.
TJ's reaction to the 9 votes, incredible. It made my day. Like, rarely does TJ make my day, but when he laughs with purpose,
Yes.
with valid
TJ
reason,
makes my day often, but it is usually because
was
he's
gonna
laughing
say.
with a purpose. Yeah.
it's usually laughing. Like sometimes
Yeah.
I'm not.
Or
Like,
when he's
always
going
with
off
him,
about
but when
someone
he laughs,
quitting. Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes I'm like, okay, we get it. Next, but when he laughs at people's misfortune,
Yeah, it's the
I
best.
cut out
That's the best
laughter
version
when
of
I can.
TJ. Yes.
Absolutely. So we see this is so strange. I actually want to ask you guys this question because Chris gets 6 votes, right? And amongst the other men who get votes, 3 for Tyler, Sebastian gets 1, Wes gets 2, Monty gets 2, Banana gets 1. So we see a total of I'm trying to do the math. 4, 6, 8, 9 votes that aren't on Chris, aside from the 6. Do you think voting for more people is better? Or do you think that piling on votes is the best way to go?
Seems like piling on votes would be the better way to go, but I don't know. Carrie's the mathematician, so
I was gonna
she
say,
can
like,
tell
do
me if
I
I'm
need
wrong.
to?
Yeah, please
Like,
do.
if you have a person in mind that you want in there, then obviously you want more balls in there because it's higher odds of their ball being picked. So if you don't care who goes in, you're just looking to weaken a team, then to me it makes sense like 2-2-2 like across the board. But if like for example, the 9 balls on Amanda, 9 out of
Yeah.
15. So that's 3 like there's a 60% chance that Amanda's going in. So if you want something, you stack the votes. If you don't really care and you just want to weaken a group, then spread them out. And that is 2 math degrees for you. So
I actually tweeted last night that the math for once is actually mathing because the people who got the most votes got their balls pulled. So it just makes sense.
The reason why I asked this question is because we kind of see foreshadowing about potentially the vets and the house spreading the votes like crazy. I don't know what the context is per se, but I'm glad that we got this conversation from the mathematician herself.
I think
Because
that's just to highlight that it's a blind vote and like people might be saying they're going to do one thing and then are doing another. Like for example, Wes is thinking it's going one way and then all of a sudden there's 9 votes and he's like, "The fuck, I didn't know that these were the votes that were happening." So I think the purpose is to like highlight like, "Hey, look at this blind vote. There's people catching balls that you didn't know that they would even be getting."
And I
I
mean,
can't
even though the
imagine this
odds are
show
the
going I was gonna
sorry,
say,
go
like,
ahead.
I don't think that the odds like this show is gonna go too math on us. I don't think we're gonna get any
No.
like lower thirds of like them breaking down the odds and everything. I feel like they leave that for the challenges for people to struggle with for 15 to 30 minutes at a time.
Yeah, I also just think even though the odds are the odds, right? It's always good to like have someone else's ball in there. Like if you want someone out really bad, just like throw their ball in and see what happens. It all takes is one ball. So you never know. You know, The odds are
And
odds,
that's the
but and
thing, is, like-
percentages are percentages, but things could always go the opposite way. So you never know.
That's what's great about this season is like regardless the fact that Amanda got 60% of the votes, like one of those 15 balls in there was the vote that Amanda placed and it wasn't going to be for her. And so there's still a chance of the person who is clearly in the minority of what's going on getting her way, which is like wild in the fact that that's still an opportunity and it's not just people getting steamrolled and plowed through by the majority alliance. Like, sure, like the math in this situation, but there's gonna be times when it doesn't, and it's gonna be like, wow, it's fucking wild. The one
Yeah.
of got
Yeah.
pulled. Sick.
Totally.
I think it would have been so funny if, like, well, I'm not going to say Michaela because she had the second highest amount of votes for a woman, but if Cassidy got pulled after all of that, oh, I would have been sad. I would have been sad.
Yeah.
I think that would have been great TV, but Amanda going up was also kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yes. So from there, we see that Chris and Amanda, who had the most amount of votes, are going in a competition called the Evil Eye. Does the Challenge flagship show not allow the other shows to call it pole wrestle? Like, what's going on?
I don't know.
Why are we calling it the Evil Eye? Just call it pole wrestle and call it a day. Like, I'm over it. Like the weird.
I was
thing is,
surprised
like,
it wasn't the pole. Like I thought it was like a disc with handles. So it seemed like a dumbed down version of pole wrestle. I don't know. I thought it was weird. Plus, it was shown on the show as only one, like just whoever wins, where normally it's best out of 3. And I think Chanel put on Twitter that it was like 3 rounds.
She did?
I think that's what I saw. Or either she did or either Tiffany. Somebody posted it.
Yeah,
so
I was
interesting.
surprised when like Chris won the first round and then he's like, it writes like winner at the bottom. Like, oh,
Right.
we're okay. Wasn't expecting this. I figured we would go best of 3 like we do in almost everything.
Yeah.
However, I
Yeah.
can understand not going best of 3 in pole wrestle after maybe they've made this change to make things like safer. LT in all Desi kind of took that approach at one point where like you kind of like jackhammer the person up and down. And I just feel like if you have to do that twice versus like if someone's able to do that once, they're probably doing it a second time. So maybe it's a safety thing, but I was surprised by it. Maybe LT
Chanel
had an impact.
Maybe. Chanel did post in response to Spoiler Girl. Spoiler Girl said 1 round, how boring. And Chanel retweeted her and said it was 3 good rounds. And someone responded and said, what were the point matchups? And she said Lewis round 1, Chris round 2 and 3. So Lewis won a round. They didn't show it.
Why didn't we see
And
this?
Desi won all 3.
Well,
Which I don't know why they would play
Desi
3.
too. Yeah.
She just put Desi rounds 1 to 3. And she said every round. So maybe it was just, I don't know, maybe it was just 2. But yeah, it looked like it was best of 3.
That's very like cricket of them if they did all 3. There's like the cricket world championships, whatever it's called. I've gotten into friends or arguments with the friends from the UK where like once you lose, you like still continue playing the games that like you can't come back and like win the championship. Imagine if they did do all 3. There's no way. They must have only done 2 with Desi. I would not go out there and get my ass kicked for a 3rd time voluntarily when I can't like win it. Like, yeah, you know what, Desi? Please, like, just drag me through the sand one more time.
I know.
For prosperity's sake.
Someone did respond and said, why'd they even do the 3rd round for Amanda versus Desi? But she didn't respond. So
I can't imagine
don't
if
know.
they did. I can't imagine Amanda, of all people, being like, yes, please. Kick my ass some more, please.
Yeah, and someone else said that makes no sense why Desi would have to do a 3rd round. So I don't know.
Yeah.
She didn't
I guess
answer that question.
Chanel
But
just typed it wrong.
Typed it wrong.
It was probably just 2 rounds.
But I'm just surprised, like, if Lewis won a round and then Chris won the 2nd round, why not show us that?
Right.
I just feel like if you're going to bring people on from the...
Oh, I think we lost
Josie's
cutting out. But yeah, I don't know. It's a little strange. The whole vibe is a little strange.
I wonder, I mean, maybe because they obviously knew that, like, Desi probably handed Amanda her ass in both rounds. Like,
yeah,
we'll just do the 1 for 1 versus, like, okay, if we show that it goes 3 for the men, then we would have to do three, like best of three for the women.
Yeah. Also, it probably would have led to us getting something cut that was interesting this episode. And we actually had a lot of good content this
Yeah.
episode that was not challenge related. So, whatever. Show it. The result is the same. But this is why I say I don't trust the show, because the edit is
Yeah.
very janky.
Absolutely.
I mean, based on what they showed us, I guess it's a little different knowing that there were 3 rounds. I was gonna say Amanda's no slouch, but I thought Amanda was doing a pretty decent job from what we saw. Like, her strategy wasn't bad. Obviously, she's not as strong as Desi, so it wasn't gonna really go anywhere. But I don't know. I was impressed by Amanda. I just don't think Amanda's a slouch in general. I think she's a pretty decent challenger.
She gets the short end of the pole wrestle stick in a lot of these eliminations.
Yeah.
Like, her last one was against Tori, and it was a physical one. And then, of course, like, the other elimination that happened that night was a puzzle one, and Amanda probably would have swept the floor with
Yeah.
Tori if, like, it had been vice versa. And of course, like, Devin got the puzzle one against Emmanuel, and okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I also wonder, like, why you wouldn't show Chris coming back, because I think that's
Right.
impressive. Like, when you win the first one to then come back from one down and win
Yeah.
2 in a row, that's not easy to do in anything, much less
Yeah.
a pole wrestle. I would have loved to see that just from like a sports competitive like view of it, because I mean, I do have appreciation for the amount of athleticism. If you circle back to my rant at
Yeah.
the beginning of this show, that
Yeah.
I want athletic people on here. So I would have loved to also just see like how that went down, and the grit behind it all.
Chris remains the king of losing and then coming back to win.
Right.
Second time. Did it on Survivor, did it in this elimination.
Make it your personality at this point.
Yeah, I may as well. Not those dick socks. I don't know if you know anything about his sock company, but look it up if you don't.
I don't.
You should look it up. I'll find it. Well, we still lost Josie. I don't think we left off knowing if anybody changed, right? Or did we? I don't actually remember.
Wait.
Did we?
Didn't Desi said she was going to change, but did she pick a team?
I don't recall.
Yeah, she did. She said, I'm going to switch with, did she switch? She switched with the not adjacent to the cookout Alyssa.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's right. Okay, yes, she moved to blue team. She switched with Alyssa Snyder. That's right.
And I would have Chris is going to stay where he is.
Yeah, I don't know why he wouldn't.
Yeah, so I don't think that they showed Chris. If they did, or maybe I think Chris might have stayed first and then Desi switched after. I don't remember this, and I just watched it.
I don't remember either. Me too. I just literally rewatched.
We need our host. Josie, come back.
I know. I'm just the co-host. I don't take notes.
I'm here on vibes. I'm a guest.
Yeah, I'm here for color commentary only. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we end. We'll see if Josie is able to come back or not, but I think we can probably start wrapping up. We've been here for a little while. Any last thoughts on this season so far, Kari? That we didn't cover?
I think like it's getting a lot of positive hype on all corners of the challenge internet. Something that I think is interesting is like I've seen some comments on Reddit especially, which is just like wildly confusing to me, like, oh, some of these people will be good, like have it to be on like the flagship, where it's like right now the flagship's not where you want to be.
It's like literally bottom of the barrel of all of the challenges. This is better. Challenge All Stars is better. Like, nobody wants to be. The challenge flagship shows, especially if you follow any of the casting rumors, it's just like flop city right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be what I was striving for if I was on this show.
So no, I mean, here's what I'm afraid of. I was very high on USA last season, and then I can't think of a final or finale that made me angrier than that final, like straight up. So I just am afraid of a letdown because they've done this to me before. But for the time, I'm just going to enjoy the present. I'm not going to worry about the future. and we'll see how things go. But it looks like we might get like a Wild Wild West episode. What if that's the
Love that.
title?
Ooh.
Wow.
All right. Well, we'll have to
M-
see.
MTV, hit me up. I'm here to
Mhm.
sometimes say witty things that you can title your episodes with.
Yeah. And you've offered your services before as a
Yeah,
consultant.
they
so
haven't
like
hit
hit
me
up
up.
Kari.
I'm either waiting for MTV or Derek Frazier to be in my or in my
Oh my God.
mentions,
Well,
and
that one
neither
I
are happening.
maybe won't be surprised, or you'll just be blocked.
Fine.
Which also wouldn't surprise me. All right, we'll go ahead and we'll start wrapping up. I can do the sign off for Josie. Done this before, no problem. Well, Kari, we'll start. Where can everybody find you? What are you up to these days over here on Silent Podcast and just on the internet in general?
I'm at KGD26 on Twitter and Instagram, but tweeting a lot about Love Island USA. If you are not watching it, like jump on board. Quality Love Island content, overall reality TV content. It has just been so good. They are on top of their game. And this is like my first Love Island USA season that I'm watching, like sticking with it. Whew, so good. So I'm tweeting a lot about that. Well, otherwise, like I'm either tweeting about reality TV or probably like politics. So
Yeah.
come follow me over there. And otherwise, you can catch me with Katie on Pod Happens Live. I had to stop and not say the Cool Water Show.
No, I know. I do every time.
So, we're talking about everything Bravo over there tomorrow. So you
Yeah.
can see this dynamic duo in more places than just here.
Yes, that is right. And thank you for being here, Kari. It's so good to have you on your OG baby. TJ Hates Quitters. You were the original. So come back with us anytime that you want. This is a fun season to talk about. You can find me at RealSimKatie on Twitter. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/RealSimKatie with an underscore at the end. And you can find me all over the place on Silent Podcasts these days. You can find me here every week with Josie and hopefully Kari to come back. Like Kari said, tomorrow we'll be recording this week's episode live, obviously on YouTube and Twitch, and also on our audio platforms of Pod What Happens Live, where we talk all things Bravo, and lots of Big Brother stuff happening this week and every week so far this season. It's been a wild ride. So join us, Josiane, myself, Isaiah, for the Bounced Checks podcast, where we talk all things Big Brother. We had Ethanimal join us on Friday. We had our exit interview with Riley drop today. Shout out to Janelle. She killed it. Interviewing her. We've been dropping feed bites here and there. So we got a lot of Big Brother stuff coming at you here on Silent Podcasts. And speaking of Silent Podcasts, check us out on all of our social media. Stay up to date with us on Twitter at silent_podcasts. Check us out on all the audio platforms. We post our podcasts after we record them live on YouTube. So if you're listening here and you want to just re-listen, go download us on one of your podcast apps and leave us a review. We would love it if it's 5 stars. It helps us out in the algorithm. You can like, you can comment, you subscribe, do all that good stuff. We will appreciate that from you. It's a good free way to support us. So speaking of supporting us, we also have a Patreon. If you want to go ahead and subscribe, patreon.com/silentpodcasts. We would appreciate your support. And we have a Discord. So you could check us out there too if you want to just get in on the convo. So lots of stuff going on in the Silent Podcast universe. I will also sign off for Josie. You can find her at JosianeXNM on Twitter and Instagram. I know she is also kicking off her YouTube page, so check that out, her YouTube channel. So check that out. I believe she's also Josiane XNM there as well. So yeah, that's it for us. Thank you so much to Josie. She's having some Wi-Fi issues tonight, so she'll be back with us next time and on Friday. And we'll see you guys soon. Bye, everybody.